Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. Allow me to introduce our team. I am Charmaine Foster. With me you have Kimberly Palade, Jolene Trancoso-Calliste, and Anthea Thomas. The purpose of this presentation is to deepen your understanding of checklists as an observational tool in the early years classroom. According to Mendes 2003, observational tools in the early years classroom is used to gather information that is beneficial to educators, to families, and to parents. The information that is gathered is used to assess the development and growth of the young child. Assessment is a fundamental aspect of effective teaching in the early years, and the use of checklists allows for the quick and easy recording of information. Objectives. For this assignment, for this presentation, we have outlined 3 objectives. 1, to identify the key elements of checklists as an observational tool. 2, to demonstrate the uses of checklists to integrate theories of learning and development. 3, to outline the context in which checklists are used to record skills and behavior in different developmental domains of young children.
Observation tools, the checklist. Checklist in the learning environment is quick and easy to use for collecting information on students. It consists of structured questions that are used to record skills or attributes, the existing or absent of traits and behavior in students. Information gathered from the checklist is used to improve the students' learning and development as well as teachers' strategy. Thank you.
Right. Checklist as an observational tool. And here are some of the reasons that you can use checklists as a form of observing children within the classroom. First of all, it provides a record of growth in all developmental areas. So you are able to look at different parts of the domains, whether it's in language or physically, you are able to find that within the checklist. It also identifies children who may need additional support. So from using the checklist now, you are able as a teacher to spot or to be specific about what intervention that a child might need. Also, it helps educators to plan individualized instruction. So you are able now as a teacher to plan for that child, differentiate instruction. For example, a student might not be able to use their fingers properly, their gross motor skill or the fine motor skill are not developed properly. So you are able to get activities that they can use to curb that problem. In addition to, you can identify strengths and weaknesses of students. When you use the checklist, you are able now with different categories to know where the students are strong or the students are weak, which you can work on as a teacher. Also, it provides a common ground between educators and parents or families. When you are aware of the child need, then you can share the information with other teachers and also their parents. So you might allow the parents to assist the child at home. You might give them different activities that they can assist the child with at home. So these are some of the rationales for using a checklist as an observational tool. Thank you. Limitations of using a checklist as an observational tool. It requires more structure. So when you are using a checklist, it might just be specific to one domain, and as an educator, it kind of limits. You may see other things coming up from that individual, but it limits, it restricts what you are observing. Also, it lacks detail or narrative description. Because the checklist is a preset list, then you are just specific to tick off or observe what is happening based on what you have in front of you as an observer. Also, potential for biasness and incorrect rating. So it may be an event where it depends on how the observer is feeling at that particular day. So you may not be 100% true to whatever you observe. It might be the child might do something, or you might be in a bad mood as an observer, and you might be a bit biased, or you might overrate or underrate that child based on using the checklist. Also, lack of auditory indication. So there is not a specific area for you to understand the true feeling of a child. So that lacks in a checklist because you are, as I said, you are so specific in dealing with the preset questions that are in front of you when you are using an observational checklist. In addition to, it does not include how well a child is performing. It does not give you, you are not able to put in additional information about a child because of the questions of it. So it limits you as a person when you are looking at a child towards their development. So these are some of the limitations of using a checklist as an observational tool. Thank you.
Continuing with the improved checklist. This checklist targets a specific age group. When I say a specific age group, in our checklist, when we are looking at the children, for example, a 3-year-old, you're not going to mark them according to a 4-year-old's development. In our checklist, we have our physical developmental stage divided into our large motor and our small motor skills. So, in our small motor skills, it emphasized in the physical aspect of dressing themselves, dressing and undressing themselves. And we have it labeled as buttoning their clothing and unbuttoning their clothing. For a 3-year-old, you might find that 3-year-old might not be able to button their clothing. They might be able to button up themselves, but they might be able to unbutton. So you score that child according to his developmental stage. Hence the reason for that targeted age group. All right? And there will be an outline area that is expected to be achieved by that guided milestone. So we use our milestone or developmental milestone as a guide to assist when using this checklist. Secondly, well-detailed developmental domains with a measurable scale. And it is achievable by the children. When I say achievable, meaning we have, as I said, with that physical, and that 3-year-old not being able to button, but they can't unbutton. In our milestone, in our scale, we have it as mastered, not mastered, and developing. So that child will fall under the developing stage, where it shows that that child is using the skill but has not mastered it yet. All right, so they can dress themselves or undress themselves, but they has not mastered both dressing and undressing themselves. So there is a target now that you have to aim to assist that child so that that child will eventually be able to dress themselves. Therefore, making this improved list challenging yet achievable. Thirdly, the checklist also includes a section that captures the narrative description that the observer needs to record. So as I said with the 3-year-old just now, in your narrative section, you can jot down that the child is buttoning and fondling or finding it hard to get the button into the hole, but she's able to take the button out of the hole. All right, just for example. So these improvements are necessary to accumulate ongoing information that would focus on the child's development in the parameter of the curriculum. So that's for the improved checklist. Now I have a theory of learning and development. A specific checklist would be effective when the evaluation is achieved, ensuring teachers obtain relevant information that would guide their planning on achieving individual goals for these children. Bronfenbrenner ecological system theory enforces the mesosystem that forms a collaboration or a collaborative relationship between the school and the home. This is essential in developing the child, as the collaboration aids with the reinforcement of activities that are needed for the child's targeted goals. For example, as I said with the clothing, dressing and undressing. So you can tell the parent now in a meeting, when you have your parent meeting conference, let them know that the child has reached this area. You are seeing them using it, but it's not yet mastered, and some things that they can do to help within that development. All right, so they can allow that child to now try dressing themselves at home instead of the parent doing it. Allow that child to try dressing themselves and unbuttoning clothing, zipping up pants, and so on. All right. This checklist forms a gateway for communication and fosters a relationship that would allow goals to be set and children to reach their highest potential. Thank you.
Guidelines for how observations would be conducted and recorded using the improved observational checklist. 1. Identify and determine specific outcomes to observe and assess. 2. Decide what to look for. Write down criteria or evidence that indicates the student is demonstrating the outcome. 3. Target your observation by selecting individual students per class and specific outcomes to observe. 4. Develop a data gathering system such as placing a checklist on a clipboard for easy recording. 5. Collect observations over a number of classes during a reporting period and look for patterns of performance. 6. Date all observations. 7. Share observations with students both individually and in a group. Make the observation specific and describe how this demonstrates or promotes thinking and learning. 8. Use the information gathered from observation to enhance or modify future instruction, as well as utilize intervention strategies to assist child's development. And finally, 9. Share observations made with parents so they can assist with child's development at home. Thank you.
Our new observational checklist template, and it's made up of 9 developmental domains, which include speech and language skill, perceptual skill, large motor skill, and fine motor skills. Small motor skills, as well as cognitive skills, social emotional skills, daily routines, and a general health. So these are the criteria we are looking at in our
framework or context in which the improved checklist will be used. Alberta Education 2008 addresses the checklist as an assessment tool in the context of observing students as they solve problems, model skills to others, think aloud during a sequence of activities, or interact with peers in different learning situations. Observations may be informal or highly structured, and incidental or scheduled over different periods of time in different learning contexts. As such, checklists can be used in the context that allow teachers to record information quickly about how students perform in relation to specific outcomes in the program of study. For example, observation checklists written in a format such as developing, mastering, or not mastering can be used to assist in observing student performance relative to specific criteria. They may be directed toward observations of an individual or a group. The checklist can also include spaces for brief comments which provide additional information not captured in the checklist. Furthermore, Andalis 2020 stated that checklists can be used in the context of 3 areas. These 3 key areas are academic or instructional behaviors, which checks for the students' working habits and organization skills. Number 2, social behaviors, which refers to the interaction of the student with the people they're surrounded within the school. And 3, general behavior or conduct, which pertains to the student's overall behavior. Thank you.
In concluding, it can be noted that checklist is an ideal tool to capture information that will monitor the growth and development of students in the early childhood environment. Despite the limitations, modifications can be made to include pertinent information on the growing child. This can be done in adherence to principles or theories of learning and development, as with the application of the Brenfenbrenner's theory to improve the checklist that the team had chosen. The group's chosen checklist did not capture pertinent information to the monitoring the holistic development of the child, so modifications were made and then precise instructions were given for the observation of the child. I hope you found this presentation useful and you would have learned something from it. Thank you for tuning in.